Hi, I'm Joe Saunders with Miniature Landscape Hobbies, and in this episode, we're going to delve into all the secrets in Flames of War's new book, Bulge German Forces. I love to play Flames of War. As a way to express myself artistically and for a fun game with family or friends, I don't think much can beat it. My favorite topic is the Axis forces. The colors and designs look great on the table, and since there are more allied factions in the game, someone always needs to have a large German force for big games, when several allied players want to team up. Despite this, my Axis forces have been gathering dust over the last couple months. Between terrain commissions and some of the awesome new models for Team Yankee, I just have not had the time. And, like many gamers, I get distracted by the fancy new stuff. So in order to get back in the saddle with my Axis forces, I really need something cool. Something big and shiny, with lots of artistic possibilities to spark my imagination. And a healthy in-game effect, like a big gun. That would help too. I think that'll do nicely. The German Bulge book is out in June, and it's jam-packed with a staggering variety of awesome options for Flames of War players. So many options, in fact, that I really can't detail at all. But I figure I can give you a tour of some of the more interesting aspects of it. Let's take a look. Miniature Landscape Hobbies relies on the help of its viewers to purchase new supplies for the featured builds and product reviews. To contribute a couple of dollars, please consider using the Super Thanks option. If you contribute, please feel free to suggest what product or project we should cover next. Your support will be recognized in our videos, and your investment in spreading the joy of building a miniature will be appreciated by all our viewers. I think most of my viewers know that by the time Germany was planning the offensive that came to be known as the Battle of the Bulge, the Axis forces were on the back foot. In Europe, Germany's allies were all out of the fight or switching sides to the Allies. To make matters worse, the Allies were encroaching on Germany's industrial lands and had them largely surrounded on their borders. It was probably the beginning of the end for World War II in Europe. But the Axis still had a couple tricks up their sleeve. They were still capable of producing their powerful war machines and had both seasoned and second-line troops available in respectable numbers. This is where the book picks up. The challenge for the crew at Battlefront was to embody this time period in the rules. And I think they did it really well.
Excellent!
The book itself has lots of background material detailing the major units and the historical situation. It's all nicely laid out and has plenty of maps. There's enough historical content to grab your interest, but it doesn't detract from the game. Which brings us to what you're here to learn about: the units and the models. Basically, the units featured in German forces for the Bulge come in three types. The first are the German Heer soldiers, or the army troops. This is the type most Flames of War players are likely very familiar with. These troops are good all-rounders. They're hit on a 4+, with a skill of 3+, and they also have the Stormtrooper rule. Solid stats for solid troops. One thing to note is that their motivation has changed to a reluctant 5+. Clearly, the more desperate situation the Third Reich is finding itself in by this time is affecting their morale. Interestingly, Since Panzerfaust proliferated as World War II ground on, most infantry units have a limited 2 value for them. This drives up the anti-tank ability in general, but otherwise these are the same guys we have been playing with since the advent of 4th edition. The next type is the SS units. Their stats remain the same as in other books. Hit on 3+, with a fearless morale, a trained 4+ skill, and a 3+ improved assault. These are your fanatical, aggressive fighters, same as always. Now we get to the new types. Brigade Panzer Grenadiers and Volksgrenadiers. These are your second-line troops with stats to reflect it. They're by no means bad, just less powerful. Hit on 3+, with a motivation of 5 and a skill of 4. Interestingly, you're not looking at a serious savings in points cost for these troops. This is because the Axis war machine is still turning out top quality weapons. As a result, they're all extremely well armed. Increased numbers of Panzerfausts and tons of STG-44s mean that these troops can throw a lot of dice. A lot of dice. Firepower is quite literally making up for their shortcomings, and personally I can hardly wait to try these troops out in the game. Now we come to the vehicles, and wow, there's a lot of them. Essentially, there are all the usual variety of Axis vehicles to choose from. You can adapt these to the unit types that we've already covered to save on points, or make them more skilled. Beyond this, we see a couple of new variants of more familiar weapons. There's now a Hetzer flamethrower option for close-in fighting, and the Hornice is now available in plastic. I was hoping this would happen, and I'm sure I'll get some now. The other variant worth discussing is the Panther late model. This is a Panther like any other, but with an improved armor rating of 10 on its front armor. Panthers are often regarded as overcosted, so by changing the options for the unit type, you can save on some points. I, for one, have never let the issues with the Panther slow me down, though. I love this tank in every variety, and they're in virtually all my lists. And now, the new stuff. Allied aerial superiority by the time of the Battle of the Bulge caused an increased reliance on flak for the German army. In Bulge German forces, we get a new flak half-track as a result of this, and it comes in either a double or triple-barreled version. These are also pretty interesting in the army lists. This is because they're often a black box choice for armored Panzer Grenadiers. Usually flak isn't allowed as a core choice, and this should up your high rate of fire weapons. The Jagdpanther is in this book too. An AT-17 Panther? Yes, please. This is only the first of the new big cats, though. From here, armor values get higher, and guns get bigger. Now we come to the Front Armor 16 Tiger II, a real behemoth. I'll say that again. Front Armor 16. I think the Super Pershing might be the only vehicle that can go through that on the Allied side. This vehicle is clearly the king of the hill, and it has the stats to back it up. But then there's the points cost. With the heavy armor comes a heavy price. These will be fun to play, but you certainly won't be able to play very many of them. There is also the Jagtiger. Front armor 17 and an AT-18 firepower 2+ gun with brutal makes this pretty scary. It's a self-propelled gun, not a tank, so it's not as scary up close. But then again, you have to get up close. This is the one Flames of War vehicle that I am very tempted to pit against some Team Yankee units. I bet with its stats, it would actually do okay. In the support area, we still have a bigger gun, on the Sturmtiger. This is really more of an artillery piece, dropping an artillery template with the brutal rule. It also functions like the Churchill Avery, so it has some extra rules. This vehicle will be a terror if you use the city fight rules. If you don't, it still might be useful. You can certainly intimidate your opponent by pointing the huge cannon at them. Last but not least is the aircraft entry in the book, the ME-262. Yes, a jet in Flames of War. Its bombs and guns will make it a flexible choice, and since it's so fast, it's only hit on a 6. Let me say that again. It's only hit on the roll of a 6. If your opponent only relies on a small amount of AA weapons, they might be in for a real nasty surprise. Moreover, they'll probably never shoot one of these down. This brings us to the end of the book. Here we encounter a cool multi-table scenario and the regular catalog of models. This will let us go shopping so we can put all these awesome goodies on the board. And, as you can imagine, I can hardly wait to get some of these ready. In the end, I have to say, German Bulge Forces for Flames of War is an awesome book. Just as awesome as the massive tanks in it. Now then, I'll have to get my feather duster out so I can get those German models cleaned off and ready for all the new games I'll be playing. Moreover, I'll have to get my paint out and get ready for the large number of really big, really scary tanks I think I will be preparing in the immediate future. Miniature Landscape Hobbies is your source for miniature, terrain building, and diorama content, and we can't do it without your support. We want to build a community to ensure that the wonderful art of building a miniature is accessible to everybody. To participate, please consider joining on Patreon. For $4 a month, our Patreon members benefit from 10% off at Joe Saunders Terrain in the Etsy store, 5% off paints and hobby supplies at Torchlight Games, free access to STL files, a mention in our credits, and early access to our videos. Please check it out and consider joining. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. Please remember to subscribe, press the bell button so you get immediate notification on our videos, and until next time, remember to keep building life in miniature.